Hello, everyone. Today, I want to talk about something that holds more people back than talent, than money, than even opportunity. And that is fear. Fear isn't just a feeling, it's a trap. It's an invisible cage that keeps you from becoming the person you were meant to be. Fear whispers, you can't do it. Fear tells you, you'll fail. And fear paralyzes the best of us. But here's the truth. Fear is only as powerful as you allow it to be. Don't let fear control you. Listen to me very carefully. Too many people walk around their entire lives running from something they refuse to face. They wake up every morning thinking they're okay, thinking they're moving forward, but deep inside, there's a weight dragging them down, and that weight has a name. It's called fear. Fear is that quiet voice that shows up in your mind when you're about to do something great. Fear is that hesitation that stops you right before you could change your life. And here's the thing most people don't realize. Fear isn't your enemy. It's not something you need to hide from or pretend doesn't exist. Fear is a signal. It's a wake-up call. And the first step to taking control of your life, the first step to breaking through every barrier that's holding you back is this. You must acknowledge your fear. I said it again. You must acknowledge your fear. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. You're thinking, Eric, if I acknowledge fear, won't it get stronger? No, that's a lie your mind is telling you. The truth is, fear only has power over you when you ignore it, when you pretend it's not there. When you hide from it, when you try to act like it doesn't exist. It grows in the shadows. It builds in the corners of your mind. And before you know it, it's controlling everything you do. But when you face it, when you shine a light on it, it becomes smaller, it becomes manageable. It becomes something you can beat. Acknowledging your fear doesn't mean you have to be brave all the time. It doesn't mean that you have to jump into the unknown with no preparation. Acknowledging your fear simply means being honest with yourself. It means looking in the mirror and saying, yes, I am scared. Yes, this is intimidating. Yes, I don't know if I can do it. And when you do that, when you name it, something magical happens. That fear that once had control over you suddenly loses some of its grip. There is power in honesty. There is power in naming what you're afraid of because fear cannot manipulate a mind that is clear and aware. Think about the times in your life when you were afraid to do something. Maybe it was asking for that promotion. Maybe it was starting a business. Maybe it was speaking up in a room full of people. How did fear show up? Showed up as self-doubt, hesitation, procrastination. It showed up as excuses. And the crazy part is you didn't even realize it was fear. You thought it was laziness or lack of skill or timing or opportunity. But if you trace it all back, it all comes down to fear. And that's why so many people never reach their potential. They never stop to say, this isn't about me being lazy or incapable. This is fear. This is what's holding me back. Now, I'm not just talking theory here. I'm talking about life, real life. Every single person you see who's successful, every single person who's doing something meaningful has had to acknowledge their fear. They've had to sit with it, feel it, and stare it in the face. They've had to admit, yes, I am scared, but I'm going to move forward anyway. That's what separates the people who make it from the people who talk about making it. The difference is action. And action comes from acknowledging your fear, not pretending it doesn't exist. Here's the thing about acknowledging fear. It gives you clarity. When you know what you're afraid of, you can figure out why you're afraid. You can dissect it. You can ask yourself, what am I really scared of? Is it failure? Is it rejection? Is it looking foolish? Once you know the answer, you can plan. Once you know the answer, you prepare. Once you know the answer, you can create strategies to overcome. Fear thrives in ignorance. Fear thrives when you don't know why it's there. Acknowledgement is the first step in taking the power back. Let me tell you a story. I know a young man who always dreamed of starting his own business. Every day he talked about it. He dreamed about it. He even researched and learned about entrepreneurship. But he never took the first step. Why? Because he was afraid he wouldn't succeed, afraid he'd lose money, afraid people would laugh at him. One day, he sat down and wrote it all out. He wrote down every fear, and when he finished, he looked at paper and realized something incredible. These fears were not insurmountable. These fears were just thoughts. They were just possibilities, not certainties. And in that moment, he made a decision. He said, I see you fear. I know you're there. I acknowledge you. but I will not let you control me. And from that day, he started taking small steps. 1, 2, 3. And eventually, those steps led to something extraordinary. That's what happens when you acknowledge fear. It stops being this massive, invisible force controlling you. And it becomes something you can work with. It becomes a guide, a teacher. Because here's another truth. Fear is not trying to destroy you. Fear is trying to protect you. Fear is a part of your survival mechanism. It's your brain's way of saying, hey, be careful. This is important. But when you acknowledge it, you can separate the protection from the paralysis. You can say, I hear you, fear, but I will not let you stop me from growing. I will not let you stop me from becoming who I am meant to be. Some of you are sitting there right now thinking about something you've been putting off for years. Maybe it's going back to school. Maybe it's leaving a toxic relationship. Maybe it's starting a new career. Maybe it's pursuing a dream you've had since childhood. I want you to close your eyes and name it. Name what you're afraid of. Say it out loud. Write it down. Acknowledge it. That simple act of acknowledgement is more powerful than you realize. It's the first move in reclaiming your life. It's the first move in breaking free from the chains of fear. And here's the beauty of acknowledgement. Creates momentum. Once you admit the fear exists, your brain stops wasting energy trying to avoid it. You stop living in the shadow of it, and you start taking intentional steps. You start asking yourself, what can I do today right now to move past this fear? Fear will always try to whisper. Nah, you got a voice too. You got the voice of awareness. You got the voice of action. And when those two voices clash, action wins every time. Remember this, fear is a universal experience. Everyone has it. The difference between the people who live in mediocrity and the people who create greatness is not that one group has no fear. No, the difference is that one group acknowledges their fear and decides to act anyway. They feel the fear, they honor it, they respect it, and then they move forward. And you can do the same thing. You can stand up today and say, I acknowledge my fear. I see it. I know it's there, but I refuse to be a prisoner of. I am bigger than my fear. Fear cannot live in the light. Acknowledgement is light. Recognition is light. Awareness is light. When you shine the light on your fear, it begins to shrink. It begins to lose its power. And every time you face it, every time you move through it, you grow stronger. Your courage grows. Your confidence grows. Your potential grows. And before you know it, that thing that once seemed impossible is now just another step in your journey. So I challenge you today, stop hiding. Stop pretending. Stop running, acknowledge your fear. Look at it square in the eye and say, I see you, I feel you, but you will not control me. Make a list of your fears, name them, understand them, and then take one small step today to confront one of them. That small step will start a chain reaction. That small step will change your mindset, That small step will move you closer to the life you were meant to live. Let fear be your guide, but never let it be your master. Acknowledge it, respect it, and then rise above it. The moment you do, you will see what I'm talking about. Opportunities will open. Doors will appear. Your mindset will shift. You will feel a power within you that you never knew existed. And that power comes from the simple act of acknowledgement. Fear only controls those who refuse to see it, refuse to name it, refuse to face it. Be different. Be courageous. Acknowledge your fear and take control of your life. And I promise you this, the more you do it, the easier it becomes. The more you acknowledge fear, the smaller it gets. The more you acknowledge fear, the more confident you become. The more you acknowledge fear, the more unstoppable you become. So today, I want you to make a commitment. Acknowledge your fear. Don't run from it. Don't hide from it. Face it, name it, and then step forward anyway. That's how you win. And one day when you look back, you will realize that fear was never your enemy. It was your teacher, your guide, your wake-up call. You just had to acknowledge it first. Listen to me very carefully because this is something that most people never understand. Fear is not your enemy. I repeat, fear is not your enemy. For years, we have been told that fear is bad, that fear should be avoided, that fear is something to run from. But I'm here to tell you the exact opposite. Fear is a compass. Yes, you heard me right. Fear is a compass, pointing you toward the very thing you need to do, the very thing that will help you grow, the very thing that will take you closer to the life you always dreamed of. Think about it. What is fear really telling you? When your heart starts racing before a big opportunity, when your hands start sweating before you make a bold move, when doubt fills your mind and you want to retreat, it's not trying to stop you from winning. No, fear is saying, pay attention. This matters. This is important. Fear is signaling that what you're about to do is significant. Fear is the universe's way of highlighting what will challenge you and ultimately elevate you. So many people see fear as a stop sign, but it's actually a direction sign. It's pointing you to the places that require courage, to the places where growth happens, to the places where transformation is waiting. When you feel fear in your stomach, when you feel hesitation, that's your inner compass telling you this is where you need to go. And here's the problem. Most people ignore it. Most people run in the opposite direction. Most people hear the whisper of fear and decide to stay comfortable, to stay safe, to stay small. And because of that, they never fulfill their potential. Fear will always show up when you're on the verge of something great. It doesn't matter how talented you are, how smart you are, how prepared you are, fear will come. But instead of seeing it as a signal to stop, you have to see it as a sign that you're on the right track. The moment you start seeing fear as a compass instead of a roadblock, everything changes. Your mindset shifts. Your perspective transforms. What once felt paralyzing now feels like a guidepost, a map showing you where to focus your energy and attention. Let me break it down for you. Think about the people who have achieved incredible success. They all had fear. They all had moments of doubt, moments of hesitation, moments when their heart was pounding so hard they thought they might collapse. But here's what they did differently. They listened to it. They didn't run from it. They didn't pretend it wasn't there. They faced it. They acknowledged it and then moved forward with purpose. Fear became a guide, a signal that they were moving in the right direction. And they allowed it to sharpen their focus instead of dulling their ambition. For example, think about the entrepreneur who wants to pitch an innovative idea to investors. When they walk into the room, fear hits them hard. Their mind races, their palms sweat. Their stomach churns. Most people would see that fear and think, I'm not ready. I should back out. But the successful entrepreneur, they feel that fear and say, this is exactly where I'm supposed to be. This is my compass pointing me toward growth. They let the fear guide them to preparation, to focus, to delivering their best presentation. That fear doesn't stop them. It propels them to rise to the occasion. Here's the thing about fear. It always points to the edge of your comfort zone, and growth doesn't happen inside comfort zones. Success doesn't happen in the places where life feels safe and predictable. Life's biggest rewards come from pushing past what scares you the most. So when you feel fear, that's when you know you're about to step into the zone where transformation happens. Fear is the GPS that tells you, yes, this is the direction you need to go. I want you to understand something deeply. Fear will never go away completely. If you think that one day you'll wake up and fear will disappear from your life, you're mistaken. Fear is part of the human experience. What changes is your relationship with fear. You can either let it control you, or you can let it guide you. You can either allow it to paralyze you, or you can allow it to point you to the exact place where you need to be brave. The choice is yours. Every day, every moment, fear is giving you directions. You just have to pay attention. Now, some of you are thinking, Eric, it's easy for you to say, but what if fear is too big? What if it's overwhelming? I hear you. That fear can feel massive. Fear can feel insurmountable, but remember, the size of the fear does not determine your ability to move through it. Even when fear feels like a mountain, even when it feels like it's crushing you, even when it feels like it's about to swallow you whole, it's still pointing you to the very thing that will grow you. The bigger the fear, the bigger the opportunity. The more intense the fear, the more significant the potential reward. Let me give you another example. Think about someone standing at the starting line of a marathon. Their legs are trembling, their heart is pounding, they're doubting whether they can finish the race. That fear is real, but that fear is also a compass pointing them toward growth, toward endurance, toward achievement. They listen to it, and instead of letting it stop them, they run. Step by step, they push forward. And at the end of the race, when they cross the finish line, they realize that fear was not their enemy. It was their guide. Fear told them where the challenge was, and they conquered it. Here's the lesson. Every fear you feel is pointing you toward a higher version of yourself. Every time you feel hesitation, every time you feel doubt, every time you feel your stomach twist with anxiety, that's your internal compass guiding you toward the life you were meant to live. Don't ignore it. Don't run from it. Don't run from it. Don't try to pretend it's not there. Acknowledge it. Understand it, and then let it show you the direction you need to go. Fear is your friend when you know how to read it. And here's something most people fail to understand. Fear is also a measure of courage. The bigger the fear, the greater the opportunity to demonstrate courage. If you're not scared, you're probably not doing anything worth doing. If you're comfortable all the time, you're probably not pushing yourself to your potential. Fear is a sign that you're on the edge, that you're about to level up, that you're about to grow. And when you embrace it as a compass instead of a roadblock, you start moving in the direction of your dreams with clarity and purpose. I want you to think about your life right now. Where do you feel fear? Where do you feel hesitation? Maybe it's in your career. Maybe it's in a relationship. Maybe it's in your health, your finances, or your personal goals. That fear is your compass. That fear is telling you this is important. This is the place where you need to step up. The next time you feel it, don't back away. Lean into it. Let it guide you, not stop you. Some of the most powerful people I've ever met have one thing in common. They listen to fear as a compass. They don't try to get rid of it. They don't try to hide from it. They acknowledge it, they respect it, and they follow it toward growth. And that's why they succeed. That's why they achieve. That's why they become extraordinary. Fear is not something to avoid. It's something to follow, something to understand, something to use as a tool to navigate your life. Now, here's a challenge for you. The next time fear shows up, don't fight it immediately. Don't run. Don't avoid. Stop, feel, and ask yourself, well, where is this fear pointing me? What is it telling you about your life, your goals, your purpose? What opportunity is it highlighting? And then step in that direction. Take one action toward it. Small steps are powerful. Every time you follow fear as a compass, you strengthen your courage muscles. You train yourself to see fear as a signal instead of a stop sign. And every step you take builds momentum. Every step you take builds confidence. Every step you take moves you closer to life you're meant to live. I want to leave you with this truth. Fear is never going away. It's part of the human experience. But how you respond to it, how you interpret it, how you act on it, that is everything. Fear can either control you or it can guide you. Or it can guide you. Fear can paralyze you or it can propel you. Fear can keep you small or it can show you the way to greatness. The choice is yours. Every time you feel fear, remember, this is your compass pointing you toward the life you were meant to live. Don't ignore it. Don't fight it. Don't run from it. Follow it, embrace it, and let it lead you to your destiny. The bigger the fear, the greater the opportunity. The more uncomfortable the situation, the more significant the growth. Fear is your teacher, your guide, your compass, and your ally if you allow it to be. Don't let fear control your life. Don't let fear keep you small. Don't let fear blind you to the opportunities that are right in front of you. Listen to it, understand it, and let it point you in the direction of greatness. Every time you follow your fear as a compass, you will grow. Every time you step into the unknown despite fear, you will expand. Every time you let fear guide you instead of control you, you will move closer to the life you were created to live. Remember this, fear is not your enemy. It's your most powerful guide. Learn to read it, follow it, and let it show you the way. The world belongs to the brave. And the first step toward bravery is seeing fear for what it really is. A compass pointing you toward your destiny. Listen to me very carefully because this is where most people fail in life. You can't have all the knowledge in the world. You can read every book, watch every video, attend every seminar, and still accomplish nothing if you don't take action. Knowledge without action is useless. Ideas without execution are worthless. Plans without movement are meaningless. And the reason so many people fail, the reason so many people stay stuck, is because they let fear control their actions. They let fear tell them to wait, to hesitate, to hold back, to be safe. But I'm here to tell you something that you must hear, something that you must understand, something that could change the trajectory of your life forever. You have to take action despite fear. Not after fear disappears, because fear will never disappear. Not when you feel completely ready, because readiness is a myth. Not when the timing feels perfect, because perfect timing doesn't exist. You take action right now in this moment while fear is still whispering in your ear. That is how you grow. That is how you win. That is how you become unstoppable. Most people think that courage is the absence of fear. That's a lie. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is taking action in spite of fear. Courage is moving forward when your heart is pounding, when your palms are sweating, when your mind is screaming, "I'll do it." Courage is stepping into the storm and knowing that the storm does not define you. Courage is the muscle you build when you refuse to let fear dictate your decisions. Think about it. Every great achievement in history, every incredible success story, every person who changed the world, they all had fear. Martin Luther King Jr. felt fear. Nelson Mandela felt fear. Oprah felt fear. Elon Musk feels fear. Every one of them felt it. But the difference is they didn't wait for fear to vanish. They didn't wait for the perfect moment. They didn't let fear paralyze them. They acted anyway, and that is the secret. Action defeats fear every single time. Fear can feel real. It can feel massive. It can feel like a wall you'll never get over. But here's the truth. Fear is an illusion until you let it stop you. Fear only has power if you let it. If you stand frozen, if you hesitate, if you overthink, if you wait for permission, fear grows stronger. But the moment you take one step forward, fear loses. The moment you act, the paralysis disappears. Action kills fear. Action shrinks it. Action disempowers it. That is why you must take action despite fear. I want you to think about your life for a second. What is it that you've been putting off because of fear? Maybe it's starting a business. Maybe it's asking for that promotion. Maybe it's telling someone how you feel. Maybe it's going back to school. Maybe it's moving to a new city. Whatever it is, I guarantee you that fear is the reason you haven't done it. You've been waiting for the perfect conditions, the perfect timing, the perfect circumstances, but those things don't exist. What exists is your willingness to act despite fear. That is the difference between someone who dreams and someone who achieves. Action doesn't have to be big. In fact, the most important thing is to start small. Small steps create momentum. Small steps build confidence. Small steps chip away at fear until it no longer controls you. You don't have to leap across the chasm on your first try. You just have to take the first step onto the bridge, and then another, and then another. One action leads to another, and before you know it, fear has no choice but to step aside because you are moving forward, unstoppable and relentless. Let me give you a real-life example. I know a young woman who had always dreamed of starting her own bakery. She loved baking. She had talent. She had ideas. But every time she thought about taking the first step, fear would hit her like a wall. Fear told her she didn't have enough money. Fear told her people would laugh at her. Fear told her she wasn't ready. For years, she did nothing. Then one day, she made a decision. She didn't feel completely ready. She didn't have everything perfectly aligned. But she decided to take action anyway. She baked her first batch of cupcakes and sold them at a small local market. The first day wasn't perfect. She made mistakes. She stumbled. She almost quit. But she kept taking action, one small step at a time. And now, a few years later, she runs a successful bakery with multiple locations. Her courage to act despite fear changed her life. Here's the lesson. Action creates results. Fear creates excuses. And the moment you choose action, you take control. You take control of your mind, your emotions, your circumstances, your life. You stop waiting for someone else to give you permission. You stop waiting for the world to align perfectly. You stop letting fear tell you who you are or what you can do. You take action and suddenly the world starts responding to your courage. I want to challenge you right now. Think about something you've been avoiding because of fear. I don't want you to analyze it. I don't want you to overthink it. I don't want you to wait for the perfect plan. I want you to take one action today. One single step. It doesn't have to be monumental. It doesn't have to be flawless. It just has to be forward movement. Make a phone call. Write an email. Apply for that job. Talk to that person. Take that first step. That one action is more powerful than all the fear in the world because it demonstrates that you are bigger than your excuses. It demonstrates that you are bigger than your fear. Here's another truth that most people fail to understand. Action contagious. The more you act despite fear, the more confidence you build. The more confidence you build, the more fearless you become. The more fearless you become, the more ambitious you get. And ambition creates result. This is how the cycle works. Action leads to courage. Courage leads to momentum. Momentum leads to growth. And growth leads to success. But it all starts with taking that first action despite fear. Now, I know some of you are sitting there thinking, Eric, I'm too afraid. I can't do it. I hear you. Fear is intense. Fear can feel overwhelming. Fear can make you want to quit before you even start. But let me tell you something. Fear is temporary, but regret lasts forever. Fear will pass if you take action. Regret never passes if you don't. You can sit in your comfort zone and be safe, but you will look back one day and realize that you wasted your life running from fear. Don't let that be you. Take action despite fear. Do it now. Do it relentlessly. Do it repeatedly. Action also teaches lessons that fear can never teach. You can plan all day long. You can strategize all night. You can research endlessly. But until you take action, you don't learn what works, what doesn't, what matters, and what doesn't. Action is the laboratory where your courage, skills, and potential are tested. Fear can warn you, but fear cannot teach you. Only action teaches you. And the more action you take despite fear, the faster you learn, the stronger you become, the closer you get to your goals. Let me give you another example. I know a man who had always dreamed of becoming a public speaker. He had a message. He had passion. But he was terrified of speaking in front of people. His heart would race. His hands would shake. His mind would scream, what if I fail? What if they laugh? What if I mess up? But instead of letting fear stop him, he started taking small action. He joined a local speaking club, gave a 5-minute talk, then a 10-minute talk, then a 30-minute talk. Each time, fear was there pounding at the door. Each time he acted anyway. And now he speaks to thousands of people, inspiring lives every single day. Action despite fear created results that fear alone could never produce. Here's another key point. Action builds momentum. When you take action despite fear, the energy you generate propels you forward. The fear is still there, but you are stronger. You are moving. You are unstoppable. The first step is always the hardest, but after the first step, the second step feels slightly easier. After the second step, the third step feels even easier. And before you know it, you are on a roll. You are in motion. Fear is no longer a roadblock. It's a companion you've learned to navigate. You see, fear is designed to protect you. That's why it shows up. But protection is not the same as paralysis. Protection is meant to sharpen you, to alert you, to prepare you. Paralysis is when you allow fear to stop you entirely. The only way to move from protection to progress is through action. The only way to turn fear into a tool rather than a weapon is by taking action despite it. That's how ordinary people become extraordinary. That's how dreams become reality. That's how your life changes forever. I want you to remember this. The most powerful force in the world is movement. Movement generates energy. Movement generates confidence. Movement generates results. Fear may be present, but movement neutralizes it. Action is the antidote to fear. When you act, you take control. When you act, you define your life. When you act, you stop letting fear write your story. So today, I want you to make a commitment. Identify one area of your life where fear is holding you back. Don't analyze it for weeks. Don't wait for a perfect plan. Don't wait for permission. Take one action today. Make a call, send an email, speak up, step forward, do something. That one action is more powerful than all the fear in the world. That one action is the beginning of your freedom. That one action is the start of your transformation. Remember this, fear is temporary, action is permanent. Fear is a signal, action is the solution. Fear may be loud, but your determination, your courage, your commitment must be louder. Fear will never go away completely, but your willingness to act can make it irrelevant. You have to act. You have to move. You have to step forward despite fear. And when you do, you will discover that you are capable of more than you ever imagined. The world is waiting for you. Your purpose is waiting for you. Your dreams are waiting for you. Fear is just a test to see if you are ready. And the test is simple. Will you act despite fear or will you let it stop you? Choose action. Choose courage. Choose movement. Take action despite fear and watch your life transform. Listen to me very carefully because this is where most people get stuck in life. You see, fear is real. Fear is powerful. Fear can stop you, hold you back, and make you second guess yourself every single day. But there is one weapon more powerful than fear, one force stronger than doubt, one thing that can push you past every hesitation, every obstacle, every moment of uncertainty. That force is purpose. When you focus on your purpose, fear loses its grip, doubt becomes irrelevant, hesitation disappears, and you begin to move with clarity, with conviction, with unstoppable momentum. Now, I want you to understand this. Purpose is not just a vague idea. Purpose is not just a dream you have tucked away in your heart. Purpose is the reason you wake up in the morning, the reason you push when no one is watching, the reason you refuse to quit even when the world tells you to. Purpose is the fuel that drives action despite fear. Purpose is what turns ordinary people into extraordinary people. And the moment you focus on your purpose, fear no longer controls you. It becomes irrelevant. Most people let fear control them because they are disconnected from their purpose. They wake up every morning living life on autopilot, going through the motions, doing what is easy, doing what is expected, doing what feels safe. And because they lack a connection to their true purpose, fear shows up and they have nothing to push against it. Fear tells them to quit, to hold back, to settle, and they listen. But when you are connected to your purpose, fear is powerless because you have a why that is bigger than the fear itself. Let me break it down for you. Think about the people you admire most in this world, the ones who have achieved incredible things, the ones who inspire millions. Do you think they never felt fear? Do you think they never hesitated? Do you think they never doubted themselves? Absolutely not. They felt it. They faced it. They lived through it. But here's what they did differently. They had a purpose so clear, so strong, so compelling that fear didn't matter. Fear was still there, but it could not stop them because their purpose was bigger than their fear. When you focus on your purpose, you gain clarity. You start to see life differently. You stop worrying about what people think. You stop obsessing over temporary setbacks. You stop letting fear dictate your decision. Your purpose becomes your compass. It tells you where to go. It tells you what to prioritize. It tells you which battles are worth fighting and which ones are distractions. When you have purpose, life becomes intentional. Every action, every choice, every moment is aligned with your reason for being. And that alignment neutralizes fear. Let me give you an example. Think about a young man who wants to be a doctor. He faces fear every single day, fear of failing exams, fear of letting his family down, fear of not being good enough. But his purpose is clear. He wants to save lives. He wants to make a difference. That purpose is so strong, so powerful, that no fear can stop him from studying late into the night, from asking questions he's afraid of, from pushing through every challenge. Fear is present, but it is irrelevant because his purpose drives every action. Now, most people never discover their true purpose. Most people never sit down and ask themselves, why am I here? What is my reason for being? What am I meant to contribute to this world? And because they don't know, fear becomes their master. Fear tells them to quit. Fear tells them to settle. Fear tells them to take the easy road. But when you discover your purpose, you suddenly have a why that is bigger than anything else. Your why becomes your anchor, your fuel, your motivation. And fear has no choice but to step aside. I want you to think about your life for a second. What is your purpose? What is the reason you are alive? What is the one thing that you were put on this earth to do, to create, to give, to impact? If you don't know, it's time to find out. It's time to dig deep, to look inside, to reflect, to ask the hard questions. Because until you focus on your purpose, fear will always have the upper hand. But once you discover it, once you connect with it, once you make it the center of your life, fear becomes a minor obstacle instead of a major roadblock. Purpose also gives you resilience. Life is hard. Life is full of setbacks, challenges, disappointments, and failures. And fear loves these moments because it whispers, see, you can't do this. You're not good enough. Quit. But when your purpose is bigger than your pain, bigger than your circumstances, bigger than the challenges, you push through, you persevere. You refuse to give up. Purpose gives you the strength to rise when everyone else falls, to keep moving when everyone else quits, to stay committed when the path is difficult. Fear is still present, but purpose makes you unbreakable. Let me tell you a story. I know a woman who grew up in poverty. She faced fear every day, Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear that she would never rise above her circumstances. But she had a purpose. She wanted to create opportunities for other children who were growing up in the same situation. That purpose was so powerful, so consuming, that she worked multiple jobs, studied late into the night, faced rejection after rejection, and refused to quit. Fear was there, but it didn't control her. Her purpose did. And today she runs a nonprofit that has changed thousands of lives. Her connection to purpose turned fear into fuel. When you focus on your purpose, you also stop comparing yourself to others. Fear loves comparison. Fear loves to tell you they are better than you. They're more talented. They're more prepared. But purpose is personal. Your purpose is unique to you. No one else can take it. No one else can live it. No one else can execute it the way you were meant to. When you focus on your purpose, you stop looking at others and start looking at yourself, your actions, your growth. Fear loses its voice because it cannot compete with the clarity of purpose. I want to be very clear here. Purpose is not always easy. Purpose is not always comfortable. Purpose is not always fun. Sometimes your purpose will demand that you step into fear, that you take risks, that you endure hardship. But that's exactly why it works against fear. Purpose requires courage. Purpose requires action. Purpose requires commitment. And the very act of pursuing your purpose trains you to move despite fear, to act despite doubt, to persevere despite obstacles. Your purpose is the weapon you need to defeat fear every single time. Now, some of you are sitting there thinking, Eric, I don't even know what my purpose is. That's okay. Most people don't. But here's the thing. You can start exploring it. You can start taking small steps. You can start reflecting on what you love, what you're good at, what problems you feel compelled to solve, what impact you want to have. Purpose is not always revealed all at once. Sometimes it's discovered through action. Sometimes it's discovered through trial and error. The key is to start moving in the direction of meaning, in the direction of contribution, in the direction of contribution, in the direction of impact. As you do, purpose becomes clearer, it becomes smaller. When you focus on your purpose, you also inspire others. Purpose is magnetic. People are drawn to those who live with clarity and conviction. People are drawn to those who have a reason bigger than themselves. And when you inspire others, fear becomes even less powerful. You realize that your life is not just about surviving. It's about leading, serving, and contributing. Purpose creates a ripple effect that not only helps you overcome fear, but also elevates everyone around you. Let me give you another real life example. Think about Elon Musk. Think about Steve Jobs. Think about Oprah Winfrey. Think about every person who has achieved monumental success. They faced fear, doubt, and uncertainty, but they were connected to a purpose so strong, so compelling, so consuming that nothing could stop them. It was still present, but it was irrelevant. Purpose was everything, and that is the lesson for you today. Fear is always going to exist, but your purpose can be bigger than your purpose can guide you, fuel you and move you forward when fear tries to hold you back. Here's another truth that is critical. When you focus on your purpose, you develop focus. Fear loves distraction. Fear loves indecision. Fear loves chaos. But purpose brings clarity. Purpose gives you direction. Purpose tells yes to and what to say yes to and what to say no to. Purpose tells you where to invest your time, your energy, and your resources. When you have focus, fear loses its voice because your actions are intentional. You are no longer wandering aimlessly. You are moving with precision, with conviction, with unstoppable energy. And here's the thing about action fueled by purpose. It creates momentum. Every time you move in alignment with your purpose, you gain confidence. Every step you take toward your purpose makes fear shrink. Every challenge you overcome while pursuing your purpose reinforces your courage. And before you know it, you are unstoppable. Fear may still show up, but it no longer dictates your life because your purpose is bigger, stronger, and more powerful than anything fear can throw at you. I want to leave you with this challenge today. Focus on your purpose. Find your why. Discover the reason you are here. Identify the impact you want to make. And then every day, let that purpose guide your actions, fuel your decision, and overpower your fear. Don't let fear control your life. Don't let doubt dictate your actions. Don't let hesitation steal your dreams. Focus on your purpose and everything else falls into place. Remember, fear is temporary. Purpose is permanent. Fear is loud. Purpose is steady. Fear is distracting. Purpose is clarifying. Fear tries to hold you back. Purpose pulls you forward. And the moment you focus on your purpose, fear loses. Fear becomes irrelevant. Fear becomes a shadow. Fear becomes a whisper that no longer has the power to stop you. You were put here for a reason. You were given gifts, talents, and abilities for a purpose. Stop living small. Stop hiding. Stop letting fear dictate your story. Find your purpose. Focus on it. Pursue it relentlessly. Let it guide you past fear, past doubt, past hesitation. When you do, you will discover strength you never knew you had, courage you never knew you possessed, and a life that is bigger, richer, and more meaningful than you ever imagined. Your purpose is your weapon. Your purpose is your shield. Your purpose is the fire that fear cannot extinguish. Focus on it. Live it, breathe it, and let it carry you to heights you never thought possible. Fear is real, but purpose is unstoppable. And the moment you make purpose bigger than fear, nothing, absolutely nothing can hold you back. Listen to me very carefully, because this is where most people fail in life. They have dreams, they have goals, they have aspirations, but they never truly see them. They never picture the life they want in their mind with clarity. They never create a mental image so vivid, so real, so compelling that it pulls them forward even when fear is screaming in their ear. And that is why so many people quit before they even get started. They cannot see it. They cannot believe it. They cannot feel it. But here's the truth. Visualization is one of the most powerful tools you have to overcome fear and achieve your dreams. Visualize your success and you will move mountains. I want you to understand something deeply. The brain does not know the difference between what is vividly imagined and what is real. When you visualize your success, when you see yourself achieving your goals, your mind begins to act as if it is already happening. Your subconscious starts aligning with that vision. Your energy starts shifting toward action. Your behavior starts changing to match the person you see in your mind. Visualization is not fantasy. It is preparation. It is strategy. It is the first step toward turning dreams into reality. Think about it. Every top athlete, every successful entrepreneur, every high-achieving individual has practiced visualization. Michael Jordan saw himself making that game-winning shot countless times before it ever happened. Oprah Winfrey visualized her empire, her impact, and her life long before it became reality. Every successful person you can think of spent time seeing, feeling, and believing in their success before it manifested externally. Visualization is the bridge between where you are now and where you want to be. It connects your present reality to your future potential. Most people fail because they only focus on the obstacles, the fear, the what ifs. They focus on what could go wrong. And that mental energy builds walls instead of doors. But when you visualize your success, you focus on possibility, on achievement. You create a mental roadmap for yourself. You see the steps. You feel the emotions. You anticipate the victories. And this mental rehearsal prepares you to act, even when fear is present. Visualization strengthens your mind for the challenges ahead. It trains you to perform under pressure. It conditions you to act with confidence. Let me give you an example. Imagine you are preparing for a big presentation, a moment that terrifies you, your heart races, your palms sweat, your mind fills with doubt. Most people freeze at this point. They let fear control them. But here's what happens when you visualize your success. You close your eyes and picture yourself walking into the room with confidence. You see the audience responding positively. You hear your own voice strong, clear, persuasive. You feel the excitement, the pride, the sense of accomplishment. When you open your eyes, your body and mind are already prepared to act. Fear may still be there, but visualization has given you a blueprint for success. Visualization is more than just seeing. It is feeling, it is experiencing, it is immersing yourself in the reality of your future achievement. Close your eyes and see it in your mind like it is happening now. Hear the sound, smell the environment, feel the emotion, taste the victory. The more vivid, the more real, the more detailed, the more your subconscious begins to believe it. And when your mind believes it, your actions begin to reflect it. Your behavior, your choices, your determination, all align with the vision you hold. Fear becomes secondary because you are mentally rehearsing the outcome you want. Now, most people visualize negatively. They replay the failures, the mistakes, the embarrassment, the rejection. And guess what happens? Their life mirrors that visualization. Their fear becomes reality. Their mind becomes their enemy. That is why visualization must be intentional. You must see the life you want, not the one you fear. You must picture yourself overcoming obstacles, succeeding, thriving, achieving. You must immerse yourself in a victory before it happens. And when you do, fear loses its power because your mind is already trained to succeed despite it. I want you to understand something deeply. Visualization is preparation for action. It is not a replacement for hard work. It is not a substitute for discipline. It is not magic, but it is incredibly powerful because it aligns your mental state with your goals. It prepares your mind to act decisively when challenges arise. It builds confidence, it builds focus, it builds resilience. And when fear comes knocking, your mental rehearsal reminds you of the success that is possible if you refuse to quit. Think about a soldier going into battle. They train relentlessly, rehearsing every movement, anticipating every scenario, visualizing every mission. They feel fear, of course. Fear is natural, but they are mentally prepared to act because they have visualized the outcome. They have rehearsed success, and that preparation allows them to move forward, even in the face of fear. Your life is no different. Visualization trains you for the battles of your life, for the obstacles, for the moments when fear threatens to paralyze you. Here's the critical point. Visualization requires consistency. You cannot do it once and expect results. You must practice it daily. You must see your success every day. You must immerse yourself in the reality of your future every day. Make it a habit. In the morning before you start your day, visualize. At night before you sleep, visualize. When fear hits, close your eyes, return to your vision. Let it remind you of the life you are creating. Let it remind you of the person you are becoming. Let it pull you past hesitation, past doubt, past fear. Let me give you another example. Think about an entrepreneur preparing to launch a business. They are terrified of failure. They are scared of rejection. They are worried about what people will say. But they visualize success. They see customers buying their product. They see positive reviews. They see financial stability. They see growth. They feel excitement, the joy. And then they act. Fear is still present, but their visualization has prepared their mind to move forward. They are ready. They are confident. They're unstoppable. Visualization is the mental rehearsal for real-world execution. Another critical aspect of visualization is belief. Seeing without believing is useless. You must believe in the vision you hold. You must trust that it is possible. You must feel it as though it is already happening. Belief transforms visualization from imagination into a force that drives action. Fear may whisper, "You can't do this." Doubt may scream, "We'll fail." But belief, rooted in visualization, responds, "I've seen it. I felt it. I know it's possible. I will act anyway." That is the power of visualization combined with belief. I want you to reflect on your life right now. Where are you letting fear control your actions? Where are you hesitating because the outcome seems uncertain? The first step to overcoming that fear is to create a vivid mental picture of success. See yourself achieving your goals. See yourself conquering obstacles. See yourself thriving, growing and winning. Feel it, live it, immerse yourself in it, and then take action aligned with that vision. Every step you take will be guided by the clarity and confidence your visualization provides. Most people underestimate the power of the mind. They think success is all external: money, status, opportunity. But success starts in your head. It starts in your vision. It starts in your belief. You must see it to achieve it. You must feel it to pursue it. You must believe it to act despite fear. Visualization creates a roadmap, a guide, a template for your mind to follow. And when fear shows up, your mind already knows the path forward. You already know how to act. You already know how to win. Think about it this way: your mind is like a GPS. You don't program the destination, it will take you wherever it wants to go. You will end up lost, uncertain, fearful. But when you program your mind with a clear vision of success, when you visualize where you want to go, your mind starts calculating the route. It starts showing you the steps, the strategy, the moves to make. Visualization programs your mind to act. Fear may be present, but your vision overrides it. Your purpose overrides it. Your preparation overrides it. Let me give you one more example. Imagine a student preparing for a big exam. They are scared. They feel the pressure. They doubt themselves, but they visualize success. They see themselves walking into the exam room with confidence. They see themselves reading the questions and knowing the answers. They see themselves writing with focus, clarity, and precision. They feel the relief, the pride, the accomplishment, and then they study. Every action they take is now aligned with the vision of success. Fear may still exist, but it no longer controls them. Visualization has prepared their mind and their actions for victory. Here's the key takeaway. Visualization is not optional. It is a critical tool for anyone serious about overcoming fear and achieving greatness. If you want to take control of your life, you must see your success clearly before it manifests externally. You must feel it, believe it, and act on it. You must immerse yourself in the reality of your victory so fully that fear becomes a secondary concern. You must visualize and then act relentlessly. I want you to make a commitment today. Close your eyes, see your future, see your success. Feel it, hear it, taste it. Live it in your mind as if it is happening right now. Let that vision guide every action you take. Let it remind you of what is possible. Let it pull you past fear, past doubt, past hesitation. Let it fuel your courage, your determination, and your relentless pursuit of your dream. Visualization is your secret weapon. Use it daily. Use it intentionally. Use it to create the life you have always wanted. Remember this, fear is real, but your vision is stronger. Fear will try to stop you, but your mind is your ally. Fear may whisper, you can't, but visualization screams, you will. Your success begins in your mind. And the more vividly you see it, the more real it becomes. Fear cannot win when your mind is prepared, when your actions are aligned, when your belief is unwavering. Visualize your success, feel it, believe it, act on it, and nothing, absolutely nothing, will be able to stop you. Listen to me very carefully, because this right here is where most people lose the battle, not because they don't dream, not because they don't believe, not even because they don't have talent, but because they refuse to take decisive action. They hesitate, they procrastinate, they second guess themselves. They wait for the perfect moment, the perfect feeling, the perfect clarity. But life doesn't reward hesitation. Life rewards action. Life rewards those who move even when they're scared, even when they're uncertain, even when the path is unclear. And that is why you cannot let fear dominate your decisions. You must take decisive action. Action is the antidote to fear. Action destroys doubt. Action creates momentum. Without action, your dreams stay dreams. Without action, your potential stays potential. Without action, you never see the greatness buried inside you. You have to understand something. Fear thrives in silence and hesitation in stillness. When you wait, fear grows. When you delay, fear expands. When you hesitate, fear takes control. But the moment you take action, even small action, fear loses power. Fear survives only when you feed it with inactivity. The moment you move, the moment you take a step forward, fear starts shrinking. You have to break the cycle by acting before your mind tosses you out of it. Your mind will always try to protect you from discomfort, but progress requires discomfort. Growth requires discomfort. Your future demands decisive movement. Most people spend their lives planning, thinking, debating, analyzing, preparing, but never actually doing. They wait for signs. They wait for clarity. They wait for approval. They wait until they feel ready. But hear me clearly, no one ever feels ready. Readiness is a myth. You get ready by moving character. You get clarity by acting. You learn by doing. The most powerful breakthroughs in life come when you take action while fear is still present. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is taking action despite fear. Decisive action means you stop negotiating with your goal. You stop having conversations with your fear. You stop letting your excuses talk louder than your purpose. You decide and then you move. You commit and then you execute. You make a choice and then you follow through with relentless determination. Success is not complicated. It is not easy, but it is simple. Decide what you want, then do the work. Take the steps, make the moves. Show up every single day with intention and discipline. Let me tell you something real. Everyone you admire, the athletes, the speakers, the leaders, the entrepreneurs, the innovators, every one of them has felt fear. Every one of them doubts. Every one of them questioned themselves. The difference is simple. They acted. They didn't allow fear to paralyze them. They didn't wait until they had proof they would succeed. They didn't wait for permission. They moved. They took risks. They made decisions. They acted decisively. even when everything inside them was screaming to stay safe. Because they acted, they grew. Because they acted, they learned. Because they acted, they won. Action creates momentum, and momentum is one of the most powerful forces in your life. Once you start moving, things begin to line up. Opportunities appear. People notice. Resources show up. Doors open. But none of that happens until you take the first step. Fear tries to convince you that you need to see the whole staircase before stepping onto the first. But that's a lie. You don't need to see the whole path. You just need to take the next step. Action reveals the path. Action uncovers clarity. Action builds confidence. Thinking alone will never get you there. Wishing will never get you there. Planning without execution will never get you there. Only action. Now I want you to imagine a rocket ship preparing for launch. The fuel is there. The destination is programmed. The structure is strong. Everything is ready. But until that ignition sparks, until that force propels it upward, it goes nowhere. Your dreams work the same way. You can have ideas, plans, goals, visions, inspiration, but until you ignite your life with action, nothing moves. You stay in the same place. Your dreams stay on the launch pad. Fear is the gravity trying to hold you down, but action is the thrust that lifts you off the ground. You cannot defy fear with thought. You defeat fear with movement. Let me give you a real example. A young woman wants to start a business. She has passion, a strong idea, the desire to help people, but she's scared. She's scared of failing. She's scared of judgment. She's scared of losing money. So she spends years thinking, planning, researching, waiting, but nothing changes. And with every year she delays, her fear grows stronger. Now imagine someone else with a similar idea, but instead of waiting, they take action, they launch, they make mistakes, they learn, they adjust, they grow, they improve, they build. And while the first woman waits for bravery, the second creates bravery by taking action. Fear can stop you, but action breaks that barrier. Fear feeds on inactivity. Inactivity feeds on fear. The only way to break the loop is to move. Take action. Do something that pushes you forward. Even small steps matter. Even imperfect steps count. You do not need to have everything figured out. You just need to begin. You just need to take that first step, that first call, that first message, that first workout, that first attempt. The courage you seek is found on the other side of action. When you take decisive action, you send a message to your brain. I'm in control. You interrupt the fear cycle. You override the doubt. You train your mind to follow your direction, not your emotion. That's the secret right there. Action trains your brain. Every time you take action despite fear, your brain becomes stronger, more confident, more willing to face the next challenge. Every time you hesitate, your brain becomes more fearful. You're either training courage or training fear. You're either strengthening your action muscle or your hesitation muscle. Which one you strengthen determines your future. Decisive action also builds self-trust. Most people don't lack confidence in their abilities. They lack confidence in their own commitment. They don't trust themselves to follow through. They don't trust themselves to stick with something. They don't trust themselves to finish what they start. But confidence is built through consistency, and consistency is built through action. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, your confidence grows. Every time you take action toward your goals, your belief increases. Action breeds confidence. Confidence fuels more action. And the cycle becomes unstoppable. You were not born to live in hesitation. You were not born to exist in fear. You were not created to sit on the sidelines of your own life. You were designed for movement, progress, impact, purpose. But you cannot fulfill any of that without decisive action. Faith without works is dead. Belief without action is empty. Dreams without execution are fantasies. You must move. A lot of people love the idea of success, but they're allergic to the actions that lead to it. They love the rewards, but avoid the responsibility. They want the outcome, but resist the process. They want the victory, but avoid the battle. You cannot have it both ways. Success requires action. Growth requires action. Transformation requires action. You must become the kind of person who moves when everyone else freezes. The kind of person who steps forward when others step back. The kind of person who acts while fear tries to scream or stop. You must develop a bias toward action. Not reckless action, but intentional action. Not blind movement, but purposeful movement. You must move with direction, with clarity, with fire. Here's the truth. The people who act are the people who win. The people who act are the people who grow. The people who act are the people who rise. Fear only controls those who allow it to. Fear only dominates those who choose hesitation over movement. Fear only wins when you let it. But when you act, when you push, when you take that step, fear loses it. Think about the decisions you've been putting off, the dreams you've been delaying, the goals you've been afraid to pursue. What would your life look like if you took action today? Not tomorrow, not someday, today. What doors would open? What opportunities would appear? What confidence would you gain? What transformation would begin the moment you decided to move? Your entire life can change with one decision, one moment, one action. You don't need to know how everything will unfold. You don't need to know how every detail will work out. You just need to take the next step. And once you take it, take another and another. Let your action create the clarity you've been waiting for. Let your movement silence your fear. Let your execution separate you from the rest. You must understand that decisive action requires discipline. Discipline means you move even when you don't feel like it, even when you're scared, even when you're tired. Discipline means you follow your purpose, not your emotions. Emotions are temporary. Discipline is permanent. Fear is temporary. Progress is permanent. Your future self is depending on you to act. Your dreams are waiting for you to act. Your greatness is locked behind a door that only action can open. Stop waiting. Stop hesitating. Stop overthinking. Stop letting fear write your story. Take decisive action. Do it scared. Do it uncertain. Do it imperfectly, but do it. The people who change their lives, the people who break generational cycles, the people who achieve greatness, they are not the smartest, not the fastest, not the most talented. They are simply the ones who act, the ones who move, the ones who refuse to let fear hold the pen. Hold the pen. You have everything you need inside you. The talent is there. The dream is there. The potential is there. The only thing missing is your action. Move, start, begin, leap, push, act, take the step, take the risk, take control. Because once you take decisive action, fear cannot stop you anymore. Once you act, momentum carries you. Once you act, clarity appears. Once you act, your confidence grows. Once you act, you begin to transform. And once you transform, you become unstoppable. Your destiny belongs to those who take action. Be one of them. Stop letting fear control your life. Move, act, push, execute. Your begins the moment you decide to take decisive action and refuse to stop. Fear will always try to convince you that you are not ready, that you are not enough, that the world isn't going to accept you. But the truth is that fear's voice gets louder only when you start moving closer to the life you were designed to live. That's why the moment you decide to change, the moment you decide to grow, the moment you decide to take ownership of your dreams, suddenly fear starts throwing every possible doubt at you. It tells you that you don't have the talent, you don't have the resources, you don't have the background, you don't have the support. But if you look closely, you will notice that fear never attacks people who stay the same. Fear never bothers the person who refuses to grow. Fear never shows up for the one who quits. Fear is loudest when destiny is closest. The problem is that most people interpret this fear as a sign to turn back instead of a sign to keep pushing forward. You've got to realize that fear is not the enemy, it's the signal. Fear is the alarm telling you that you are stepping into territory that matters. You're stepping into territory that stretches you, matures you, elevates you. You're stepping into something aligned with your calling. And that's why fear is trying to pull you back into your comfort zone. But you have to flip the script. You have to see fear as confirmation that you're moving in the right direction. When you feel it, you don't freeze, you don't retreat, you rise. I tell people all the time, courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is acting despite the fear. Courage is standing up even when your knees are trembling. Courage is speaking even when your voice shakes. Courage is stepping into the unknown because you trust that the version of you on the other side is worth the struggle. Some of you are praying for strength, but you avoid situations that would actually strengthen you. You want boldness, but you avoid uncomfortable conversations. You want confidence, but you avoid opportunities that challenge your insecurity. You want a better life, but you avoid every change that would actually give you that life. Growth and comfort cannot coexist. You can't stay who you are and become who you're meant to be at the same time. And fear knows that. Fear knows that the moment you take one bold step, the chains begin to crack. Fear knows that the minute you confront it, it starts losing power. That's why it tries to convince you to stay small. Fear is not attacking your situation, it's attacking your potential. What you have to understand is that all the people you admire, all the leaders, all the creators, all the people who made an impact, they felt fear just like you do. But the difference is that they didn't allow fear to be the decision maker. They didn't allow fear to be the authority in their life. They didn't allow fear to create their future. They made decisions based on faith, on purpose, on vision. They made decisions not on where they were, but on where they were going. And that's the mindset you need. You've been making decisions based on how you feel instead of what you know you're capable of. You've been giving fear a seat at your table. You've been negotiating with something whose only assignment is to limit you. Fear is not a consultant, it's a thief. It steals time, dreams, opportunities, peace, and progress. It steals identities by convincing people to shrink instead of shine. It steals years because people spend so much time anticipating failure that they never give themselves a chance to succeed. Some of you are living in prisons with the doors wide open. You're not stuck. You're scared. You're not trapped. You're hesitant. And fear has done such a good job convincing you that you're powerless that you stop trying to push. You stopped experimenting. You stopped risking. You stopped believing. But I need you to hear me. Fear is only as powerful as the control you give it. It cannot stop you unless you surrender. Think about it. Fear doesn't remove your talent, your intelligence, your skills, your creativity, your passion, your purpose. Fear doesn't touch any of that. It only tries to convince you not to use them. So what are you really losing when you let fear run your life? You're not losing ability. You're losing opportunity. You're not losing power. You're losing progress. You're not losing strength. You're losing seasons, precious seasons that will never return. Fear can cost you years of your life, but courage can change your life in seconds. One decision rooted in courage can shift everything. One moment when you choose to act instead of avoid can open doors you never imagined. But courage doesn't show up on its own. You have to build it. And the way you build it is by acting while afraid. Repeatedly. You build it through the reps. Just like a muscle, courage expands through resistance. Every time you choose courage over comfort, you grow. Every time you make the call, take the step, speak your truth, apply for the opportunity, confront the challenge. You grow. You create a new baseline of what you can handle. And before you know it, the things that used to terrify you become things you barely notice. Fear shrinks every time you stretch. But here's the part most people miss. Fear is a habit. Courage is also a habit. Avoidance is a habit. Action is a habit. You don't just wake up fearless. You build a life where fear stops being the ruler. You build a mindset that knows how to feel fear but still move. You build emotional discipline. You build mental strength. You teach yourself that you can survive discomfort. You teach yourself that you can navigate uncertainty. You teach yourself that the voice of fear is not the voice of truth. And the more you practice this, the more unstoppable you become. Every time fear says, "What if you fail?" you respond with the "What if I grow?" Every time fear says, "What will people think?" you respond with, "Oh, what will I think if I never try?" Every time fear says, "Oh, we're not ready," you respond with, "I'm willing to learn." But every time fear says it's too risky, you respond with, "They so will staying the same." Life will always have risks. You can risk failure by moving, or you can guarantee failure by freezing. That's your choice. And let me tell you something. Fear doesn't disappear when you achieve success. Fear evolves. When you're broke, fear tells you you'll never rise. When you rise, fear tells you you'll lose everything. When you start, fear tells you you're not good enough. When you grow, fear tells you you're an imposter. Fear will shape-shift in every season. You must learn how to overrule it. You must learn how to separate emotion from direction. If your emotions make every decision for you, you will always choose the safest path, not the strongest one. You will always choose convenience over calling. You have to stop expecting fear to get weaker. It's you who must get stronger. Fear is wobble. You don't eliminate fear, you outgrow it. You outclass it. You outrun the limitations it tries to put on your future. You replace fear-based thinking with purpose-based thinking. You replace doubt with preparation. You replace hesitation with commitment. You replace anxiety with execution. You replace waiting for the perfect moment with creating the moment. Sometimes fear wins because you're isolated. You're trying to battle the loudest voice in your life with no support system, no mentor, no accountability, no circle pushing you forward. Fear thrives in silence. It thrives in loneliness. When you don't have people reminding you who you are, fear will happily remind you of who you are not. You need voices that speak life into you, voices that challenge you, voices that hold you to a standard higher than your fear. You need a circle that doesn't let you shrink just because you're uncomfortable. There is a version of you that fear has never met. A version of you filled with courage, discipline, vision, power, and resilience. A version of you that fear cannot control. But you will only meet that version if you walk through the doorway fear is guarding. Fear guards every level of greatness, every breakthrough, every new chapter. You cannot access your next season without confronting something that scares you. That's the price of expansion. That's the cost of evolution. That's the toll for unlocking your potential. You have to pay it. You have to walk through it. You have to move even when you feel unprepared. The question is not, are you scared? The question is, are you willing to move anyway? Because if you are, fear can't stop you. If you are, fear loses its grip. If you are, you become dangerous. Not because you eliminate fear, but because you stop obeying it. And that's when life changes. That's when you break cycles. That's when you rewrite your identity. That's when you start stepping into the fullness of who you were created to be. Fear may speak, but it does not get the final say. You do. When you finally decide to stop letting fear control your life, you open the door to a version of yourself that you've never truly met. A version of yourself that has been waiting behind years of hesitation, years of doubt, years of overthinking and avoidance. And the hardest part isn't discovering who that version is. The hardest part is believing you deserve to become that version. Because fear doesn't just attack your goals. It attacks your identity. It whispers, who do you think you are? It tries to convince you that dreaming big is foolish, that wanting more is unrealistic, that reaching higher is dangerous. Fear always aims to make you smaller than you were created to be. But once you stop negotiating with fear, when you stop giving fear the authority to validate or invalidate your choices, something shifts, something powerful, something unstoppable. You realize that every time you listen to fear, you weren't protecting yourself, you were limiting yourself. You weren't avoiding pain, you were avoiding progress, you weren't staying safe, you were staying stuck. And when this truth hits you, it hits you with the force of years wasted, opportunities missed, moments you'll never get back. But it doesn't just hurt, it awakens you. It forces you to confront the reality that your future will not be built on comfort, that the life you dream of will not come from hiding behind excuses, hiding behind anxiety, hiding behind the maybe next time mindset. Freedom doesn't come when fear disappears. Freedom comes when you stop letting fear make your decision. Some of you don't realize this, but fear has been the author of your story for far too long. Fear has been choosing your relationships. Fear has been deciding what goals you pursue. Fear has been determining how loud your voice is allowed to be. Fear has been writing chapters in your story that don't reflect who you truly are or who you were too afraid to stop being. The moment you take the pen back, the moment you say, this is my life, this is my chapter, this is my direction, the story starts changing. You start writing from a place of purpose, not panic. You start moving from a place of strength, not survival. What people don't tell you is that fear isn't just emotional, it's habitual. You have trained your mind to respond with fear, just like you can train your mind to respond with strength. You have conditioned yourself to avoid, just like you can condition yourself to take action. But it takes awareness to break the pattern. It takes honesty. It takes looking at your life and admitting where fear has taken root, where fear has been leading you instead of purpose. Many people don't want to face this because it forces them to acknowledge their own power, and power comes with responsibility. As long as fear is in control, you can blame it. You can say, I wanted to, but I was scared. But when you take control, there are no excuses left. And for some people, that's scarier than fear itself. You must understand, every great dream will come with great fear, but also great opportunities, great possibilities, and great rewards. Fear is the friction before the breakthrough. Fear is the tension before transformation. Fear is the resistance that makes you stronger when you push through. If you're feeling fear right now, it's not because you're weak. It's because you're standing at the edge of something significant. You're standing at the edge of a level that the old you isn't invited into. You're standing at the border between who you are and who you're becoming. And fear is just a voice asking if you're truly ready to cross. But here's the secret. Nobody ever feels ready. Not the successful, not the talented, not the accomplished, not even the fearless. Because fearless people don't exist. What exists are people who choose courage over fear repeatedly until courage becomes their default. They choose to bet on themselves, even when they don't have every detail figured out. They choose to take the first step, even when the entire path is invisible. They choose to trust their purpose more than they trust their panic. Many of you are waiting for the fear to go away before you start. You're waiting for the perfect timing, the perfect confidence, the perfect clarity. But perfection is a lie fear uses to keep you passive. There will never be a day when everything feels exactly right. There will never be a day when fear magically disappears. There will never be a day when the conditions are flawless. You start because you're committed, not because you're comfortable. You move because your soul can't tolerate stagnation anymore. You take the step because the dream has been calling you too loudly to keep ignoring it. Fear is loudest right before you break patterns. It screams when you're about to evolve. That's why transformation feels terrifying. That's why your next level often feels like a threat, because it threatens the identity you've outgrown. Fear wants to keep you familiar, even if familiar is killing you. It wants to keep you predictable, even if predictable is miserable. It wants to keep you inside the cage, even when the cage door has been open for years. But once you taste freedom, real freedom, you never want to go back. Freedom is when you wake up and your decisions are based on purpose, not panic. Freedom is when you act on vision, not insecurity. Freedom is when you speak with conviction, not hesitation. Freedom is when you do what aligns with your future, not what accommodates your past. And fear hates that kind of freedom because fear loses its power the moment you claim authority over your life. You gain this authority by choosing courage in moments where fear used to dominate. When you raise your hand in the room, when you apply for the job, when you confront the conversation, when you take the risk, when you start the project, when you step into the unknown, you reclaim your power piece by piece. Every action becomes a declaration that fear is no longer your master. Every step becomes proof that you trust yourself more than you trust your fear. But courage is not something you feel. It's something you do. Courage is a verb. Courage is execution. Courage is forward movement despite the emotional storm. Courage is choosing growth even when growth feels painful. It's choosing truth even when truth feels uncomfortable. It's choosing progress even when progress feels slow. Courage is not glamorous. Courage does not feel good. Courage is messy, sweaty, shaky, emotional, and often lonely. But courage is also the birthplace of every blessing, every breakthrough, every transformation you've ever prayed for. You cannot live a purpose-driven life while obeying fear-driven instincts. You cannot step into destiny while shrinking from discomfort. You cannot rise while clinging to safety. People who accomplished meaningful things weren't fearless. They were relentless. They didn't wait for reassurance. They built their own. They didn't wait for validation. They validated themselves. They didn't wait for a guarantee. They created one through consistency. You have that same potential within you. You have that same fire. But you must decide that your purpose is bigger than your fear. Think about your future for a moment. Think about the version of you 5 years from now. What does that person look like? What have they built? What opportunities have they seized? What levels have they reached? Now ask yourself, did they get there by obeying fear? Or did they get there by pushing past it? Every time you choose fear, you move further away from the future you want. Every time you choose courage, you move closer. It's that simple. Your destiny is shaped one decision at a time. At some point, you must make a declaration. A fear will not run my life anymore. You must mean it. You must commit to it daily. Fear will come, and it will come hard. It will come disguised as anxiety, as overthinking, as self-doubt, as procrastination, as excuses, as perfectionism. But when you recognize its face, you confront it. You breathe through it. You move anyway. You train your body to act despite discomfort. You train your mind to focus despite chaos. You train your spirit to trust despite uncertainty. And the more you practice this, the more fear begins to fade, not because it disappears, but because it becomes irrelevant. You stop giving it weight. You stop giving it credibility. You stop letting it dictate your behavior. And eventually you look back and realize your life is no longer small. Your world is no longer narrow. Your potential is no longer suffocating inside you. You've expanded, you've elevated, you've evolved. And here's the most beautiful part. Once you take back control from fear, you inspire others to do the same. Your courage becomes contagious. Your growth becomes permission for others to grow. Your strength becomes light for someone else's darkness. That's the impact fear tries to prevent. Fear doesn't just want to stop you from rising. It wants to stop everyone who will rise because of you. But fear loses when you choose to rise anyway. And now it's your turn. And now, after everything we've talked about, after breaking down fear, after exposing the lies it whispers, after understanding how it has shaped your choices and limited your life, this is the moment where you decide what comes next. This is the moment where your story either continues the same way it always has, or it takes a completely new direction. Because no matter how powerful the message is, no matter how much inspiration you feel, no matter how much truth was spoken, none of it means anything if you leave your life untouched. None of it matters if you walk away and fall right back into the habits that have been keeping you small. Change does not come from inspiration alone. It comes from commitment, from action, from courage, from consistency. Fear has been controlling your life for far too long, and deep down you know it. You can look back and see the moments when fear held you back. The conversations you didn't have, the chances you didn't take, the opportunities you let expire. And yes, it hurts to think about those moments, but don't think about them with regret. Think about them with clarity. Think about them as lessons. Think about them as reminders of what happens when you let fear lead. Because the purpose of looking back is not to punish yourself, it's to prepare yourself. It's to make sure you never again hand over your power to something that doesn't deserve to control you. The truth is, fear is not going anywhere. It will still be waiting for you tomorrow. It will still try to whisper doubts into your ear. It will still try to convince you that the risk is too high, that the timing isn't right, that you're not ready. But the difference after today is that you must stop letting fear be the voice that decides your future. You must stop giving fear the first say and the final say. You must stop treating fear like it's wisdom, because fear is not wisdom. Fear is warning. Fear is resistance. Fear is the test that prepares you for the next level. And I want you to understand something important. The next level of your life will demand a different version of you, not a braver version that never feels fear, but a stronger version that knows how to move despite fear. The next level requires you to make decisions that future you will thank you for. It requires you to show up in moments where you used to hide. It requires you to speak up in rooms where you used to shrink. It requires you to act with intention where you once acted with intention, where you once acted with hesitation. This version of you is ready, but you must give yourself permission to step into it. You owe it to yourself. You owe it to the younger version of you who prayed for growth. You owe it to the future version of you who is waiting to live a life without the weight of constant avoidance. And you owe it to every dream that has been buried under years of fear, waiting for its chance to breathe again. This is not just about courage. It's about restoration. It's about reclaiming the parts of yourself that fear convinced you to bury. Imagine just for a moment what your life would look like if fear never dictated another decision. Imagine the relationships you would build, the risks you would take, the opportunities you would seize, the confidence you would develop, the goals you would pursue with full force. Imagine what you could create, who you could become, what levels you could reach. That life is not fantasy. That life is not unrealistic. That life is simply on the other side of choosing courage repeatedly. It's on the other side of doing what scares you instead of running from it. Fear will always offer you a comfortable option. Fear will always offer you the easier path. But easy paths lead to small lives. And you were never created for a small life. You were created for impact, for growth, for resilience, for purpose. You were created to stretch, to evolve, to inspire, to rise. And that rise will not happen in the comfort zone. Nothing grows there. Nothing changes. Nothing improves there. Your purpose lives outside your comfort zone, and fear is the guard standing at the gate. But that guard is not there to stop you. That guard is there to test you. The moment you push past it, everything expands. There will be days where courage feels impossible. Days where the fear is so loud that it feels like your entire body is resisting progress. Days where your mind creates 1,000 reasons to quit. But I need you to hear me. Those days matter the most. Those are the days that build you. Those are the days that shape you. Those are the days when you discover the strength you didn't know you had. Anyone can act when they feel inspired, but champions act when they feel afraid. Champions keep moving when their legs shake. Champions lean into growth when everything inside them wants to retreat. Consistency is how you break the cycle. Every day you choose courage, even in small ways. You weaken fear's power. You build a new identity, an identity rooted in action, not avoidance. You become someone who does hard things, who speaks their truth, who takes risks, who builds their dreams piece by piece. You become someone who trusts their ability to figure things out along the way. You don't need the full plan. You don't need all the answers. You just need to start. The journey will reveal the rest. Don't underestimate what a single courageous decision can do. One choice can shift the entire trajectory of your life. One decision to start, one decision to show up, one decision to try again, one decision to speak up, one decision to stop settling, one decision to stop letting fear be the ceiling. Everything changes when you choose to rise above the fear instead of obeying. And understand this, your courage impacts more than just you. There are people connected to your destiny. People who will be inspired because you refuse to quit. People who will grow because you refuse to play small. People who will find their own courage because they watched you confront your fear. Your courage creates a ripple effect. One you may never fully see, but one that is absolutely real. Your growth is not selfish. Your growth is necessary for you and for every life you influence. Stand in your truth. Stand in your power. Stand in your purpose. There is nothing wrong with feeling fear. The only thing wrong is letting fear lead. You are bigger than fear. You are wiser than fear. You are stronger than fear. Fear is not evidence that you are prepared. It is evidence that what you're stepping into truly matters. So step, leap, move, take action. Do it trembling if you must, but do it. Because every step you take is a victory. Every step you take is proof that fear lost that round. The world needs what you carry. The world needs your vision, your gifts, your passion, your voice. But the world will never see it if you hide behind. Let today be the day you decide that your purpose deserves more than your excuse. Let today be the day you draw a line in the sand and say, I will not live another day controlled by fear. Let today be the day you choose faith over fear, purpose over panic, action over hesitation. This is your moment. This is your turning point. This is the chapter where the story shifts. Not because fear disappeared, but because you decided to rise anyway. Because you decided to take back control of your life. Because you decided that your dreams are worth the discomfort. Because you decided that your future is worth the fight. And when fear tries to whisper again, and it will, you whisper back louder. I choose courage. I choose growth. I choose purpose. I choose myself. This is the beginning of the life you were meant to live. Not the life fear tried to confine you to. Stand up, step forward, move boldly. Your story is not over. In fact, it's just beginning.